She's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing?
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way.
I don't see her moving. Oh my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh my God. She's herself.
She shared the apartment with her fiance, a 28-year-old TV producer named Sam Goldberg. Sam went downstairs to use the complex gym. After a 30-minute workout, Sam came back upstairs to find himself locked out of the apartment. He told police he could crack the door, but the swing lock kept him from opening it. He screamed for Ellen and called her several times. She still had to be in the apartment since swing locks can only engage from the inside. The rest of his messages came in a flurry until 5:54. They went like this. Open the door. What are you doing? I'm getting... Hello? Sam went downstairs to ask the security guard for help, but he was told letting him into the locked apartment was against their policy, so Sam went back upstairs alone and forced the door open. At 6:30 p.m., he dialed 911.
I went downstairs to go work out. I came back up. The door was latched. My fiance's inside. She wasn't answering, so after about a half hour, I decided to break it down. She's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing? Look at her chest. I need you to calm down, and I need you to look at her chest. It's really...
I really don't think she is.
Listen to me. Someone's on the way. Look at her chest. Is she flat on her back?
She's on her back. Do I bring her...
Look at her chest and tell me if it's going up and down, up and down.
I don't see her moving. Oh my God. Ellie, please.
Listen, you can't freak out, sir, because you...
Okay, I'm trying not to. Her shirt won't come off. It's a zipper. Oh my God. She's herself.
Police arrived and pronounced her dead at 6:40. She gripped a clean white towel in her left hand. Her glasses were on the floor, and a hair scrunchie was around her wrist. There were no signs of any struggle. Nothing around the apartment appeared disturbed. No sign of a robbery. Nothing. And what about the front door? It was locked from the inside with a swing bolt, like the kind you find in hotel rooms. The killer must have snuck in through the window, attacked Ellen, and then crept back out after locking the door. But sneaking in through the 6th floor window? That doesn't seem too practical, does it? According to Homicide Detective Sergeant Tim Cooney, everything that happened to Ellen happened in that kitchen. The rest of the apartment was pretty unremarkable. And for those reasons, Ellen's death was ruled a suicide right then and there. If you don't think that adds up, don't worry. Nobody else does either. The next morning, her body arrived at the city morgue where Marlon Osborne, the assistant medical examiner, examined the body. He labeled each of her stab wounds, starting with the letter A. He ended at T. The most critical neck wound struck her spinal cord between the 2nd and 3rd vertebrae. According to the report, Dr. Lucy Rourke, a lifelong neuropathologist, determined Ellen's spinal cord was still intact. The ME also noticed bruises that he described as in various stages of resolution on her right arm, leg, and abdomen. Did she get in a fight in the past few days? The ME overruled the police's original theory. This was a homicide. Her parents, Josh and Sandra Greenberg, were in the middle of making funeral arrangements when they heard the news. It was no suicide. Someone had murdered their daughter. And for the next decade, communication between the Greenbergs and the Philadelphia Police Department would be like pulling teeth. After the ME called her death a homicide, her case was officially transferred to the Philadelphia Homicide Unit. They dug into Sam's story and reviewed video evidence from the building's lobby. His timetable, key fob, and gym attire all lined up. By the 29th, detectives had turned their attention toward Ellen's mental health issues and a series of odd behavioral changes between December and January. Josh and Sandra recalled their once bubbly daughter was suddenly anxious and unsettled. Before she died, sometime in late December or early January, Ellen told her parents she wanted to move back home to Harrisburg. Something was eating away at her, and the comfort and safety of home sounded like the best idea. But Ellen had a life in Philly, a life she couldn't just drop and leave behind. Instead of moving back home, Josh and Sandra suggested she see a psychiatrist first. Ellen booked 3 appointments with Dr. Ellen Berman, where she complained about feeling overwhelmed by work, though she never expressed any suicidal thoughts. She spoke highly of Sam and never uttered a bad word about him, even smiling when she mentioned his name. In Dr. Berman's opinion, she suffered from severe anxiety. On the eve of Ellen's death, Sandra urged her to see a professional once again. And Ellen replied saying she was trying, but was scared a bit for everything. And 24 hours later, she was dead. 23 days after her body was found, the police contradicted the medical examiner and officially ruled it a suicide. The original ME report included a line from Dr. Lucy Rourke saying there wasn't any spinal cord damage. The team pressed her about that conclusion, but she didn't remember working on Ellen's case. In fact, they couldn't find any record in her files that indicates she ever saw the body. In 2011, Dr. Lucy worked on a contractual basis with the medical examiner's office, and that means whenever the ME needed neuropathology work, they'd hire her to look at the body, file a report, and she'd invoice for the service. Lucy kept pretty airtight records. In her opinion, if there was no invoice and nothing in the case file, then she never saw Ellen's body. Years went by without answers until a twist of fate led the family's PI to a crucial piece of evidence. As for the locked door, the initial case report implies the building security guard was with Sam when he broke it open. But he wasn't. He was the only one working that day and he couldn't leave his desk in the lobby. Sam was alone when he found her body. According to the family's investigators, Sam is the only one who knows what happened before and after he entered the gym. Even with their dream team armed to the teeth with expert testimony and opinion, her parents were stonewalled every time they moved to reopen the case. Most people look to the boyfriend, fiance, or husband as the primary suspect in these cases, but there was never any indication that Sam was harming or abusing her. But her father had other thoughts. While appearing on the true crime podcast Crime Junkie, he told the hosts that Ellen was being abused. She just didn't know how to tell her parents. His opinion lines up with the bruises found on her arm and leg. Bruises that were in various stages of healing. As for Sam's text messages, domestic violence author Barry Goldstein had a problem with message number 5. You better have an excuse. To Barry, this message was a red flag and a sign of coercive control. In his mind, Sam set the rules in their relationship and punished her if she disobeyed. Sam himself has never spoken publicly about Ellen's death and has declined most interviews with the media. He married a different woman in January 2014. Then, on August 11th, 2022, the district attorney's office agreed to reopen Ellen's case, breathing new hope into her parents' quest for answers. According to Lindsay Emery, a pathologist in the ME's office, several of Ellen's wounds didn't show signs of hemorrhaging, meaning she was already dead when they happened. Since a dead woman can't stab herself, it raises one simple question. Who killed Ellen Greenberg? It's been over a decade since Ellen's passing. In her father's words, we're not going to let this go.
There's been a conflict of interest with the Attorney General's office for 4 years. This is nothing new.
Josh and Sandy Greenberg were left blindsided at the start of the weekend. Around 3:30 Friday afternoon, they learned that after 4 years, the Pennsylvania Attorney General's office referred the investigation into their daughter Ellen's death back to the Philadelphia District Attorney, citing an accusation of a conflict of interest. A spokesperson tells NBC 10 while the Office of Attorney General does not have an actual conflict in this matter, circumstances beyond our control have created the appearance of a conflict.
Why didn't they realize this at the beginning? Not now, after 4 or 5 years of our lives and tens of thousands of dollars trying to work with them.
The AG's office, led by Josh Shapiro, the current Democratic nominee for governor, has long insisted evidence proves the 27-year-old died by suicide. She was found by her fiancé with 20 stab wounds inside their Manayunk apartment in January 2011. But the Greenbergs are convinced she was murdered, and they're currently suing the city's medical examiner with the hope of reopening the case.
I've lost count of all the amount of monies and efforts and emotions that we've been working at to try to clear our daughter's name and get justice for Ellen Ray Greenberg.
Though the case is now back in the hands of the DA, that office must refer it to another county since District Attorney Larry Krasner represented the Greenbergs in private practice before he took office in 2018.
Why go to a county, and what is going to be accomplished by having a county medical examiner and authority review our case?
We're still working to get several questions answered. The first is, what is the nature of the alleged conflict of interest and who does it involve in the AG's office? We're also trying to figure out what the next steps are for the DA's referral to another county and how soon that could happen. We want to note that the AG's office released this information just before the end of the day Friday and has not yet returned our request for comment. However, we anticipate we'll learn more as early as tomorrow. In the newsroom, I'm Brian Sheehan, NBC 10 News.
The case has twisted and turned through the courts for more than a decade, and the legal wrangling will now continue. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court announcing it would examine specifically whether Ellen Greenberg's parents have standing to challenge a, quote, erroneous finding on their daughter's death certificate. So many have asked over time, what is the issue with all of this investigation? Well, it all started with a teacher found dead in her apartment with nearly 24 stab wounds. The year was 2011. Investigators initially concluded it was a case of murder, but then a strange reversal. Investigators changed the manner of death to suicide on Ellen's death certificate. That left her parents stunned and sickened. The night of her death, court records show Ellen's fiancé was at the gym and returned to find their Manayunk apartment door dead bolted. After an hour of trying to reach her, records show he broke down the door to find Ellen slumped in the kitchen. Records from the medical examiner's office show Ellen had been stabbed in the head, neck, and chest. Attorneys for the family have argued Ellen would not have been able to inflict such injuries on herself. One injury, they say, was inflicted post-mortem. Ellen's parents have maintained they will keep up the fight. What is your reaction today that the Supreme Court has indicated they're going to hear this case?
We're very pleased. We couldn't be happier. If we're not going to use the word justice, we're going to use the words undecided or homicide. Because that's what we believe this is, a homicide. Ellen was brutally murdered.
Well, the courts, attorneys, and Ellen's family have faulted the Philadelphia Police Department and the District Attorney's Office for what they've described as flaws in the investigation. Now, aside from the Supreme Court's involvement now, the investigation today sits with the Chester County DA's office due to conflicts in Philadelphia and with the State Attorney General's office.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. On your way out, don't forget to drop me a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you think about the video. Have a wonderful rest of your day.